What's up, everybody? How we doing today? Break number 890 BD. We got a 6-box half case break of Prizm Baseball. We did the first half of this last Thursday. We did not get a case hit out of this. So good luck. Hopefully we can get a nice color blast snake skin out of this case. This 6 boxes, excuse me. So we got our Rookies of the Year announced today, as projected, as expected. We'll say expected, not projected. But Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson go 1-2 for the A's. Nick Kurtz getting the Rookie of the Year. So guys, be holding on to those Nick Kurtz bangers. And then National League, we got Drake Baldwin, first catcher to win Rookie of the Year since, I want to say, 2010. It was Buster Posey. So congratulations to those two guys. Here we go. Good luck in the break. Here we go. We got Adam Jones, red. Adam Jones, that's 80 out of 299. Mel Ott on the silver Prizm. Talisman of Bubba Chandler. Miguel Tejada on the Pulsar. Miguel Tejada, 68 out of 499. Jadixon Paez. Jadixon Paez on the Red Wave. Deion Sanders Prismatic. Adam Jones on the checkerboard, 94 out of 99. Alex Gordon on the silver Prizm for Kansas City. Paul Skeens Firework. First auto. That is Dylan Cruz on the Pulsar auto for Washington. Nice start for Washington. 73 out of 199. 73 out of 199. Literally the second stack for us selling. But we'll look for some Rangers for you, buddy. We'll look for some Rangers. James Tibbs on the blue. 193 out of 199. Ricky Tiedemann on the Red Wave. James Tibbs on the Dingers. Dasson Hill from Minnesota. That is 69 out of 499. Roger Clemens for Toronto. Travis Bazzana on the Talisman. Another auto is coming. We got a Ricky Henderson purple. Ricky Henderson, that's 33 out of 149. Our next auto, Robbie Snelling for Miami. Robbie Snelling for Miami. That is on the Prizm auto. That one is not numbered. Prismatic Connor Griffin. There's Reggie Jackson for Oakland. Reggie Jackson for the Oakland A's. That is on the Pulsar, 43 out of 499. Colt Keith Silver Prism. Prismatic of Travis Bazzana. Purple, Joe Sewell. That is for the Cleveland Guardians. That's Joe Sewell, 49 out of 149. That is Vance Honeycutt on the Orange Wave, Christian Moore. Orange Wave, 11 out of 49 on the color match for the Baltimore Orioles. Jarlin Susanna, that's for Washington, 222 out of 299. Johnny Farmello on the silver. Dingers of Rintaro Sasaki. Rintaro goes to the non-MLB NIL spot. Brock Wilken on the Pulsar. That is 74 out of 499. Ethan Anderson on the Red Wave. There is a blue firework of Carson Benj on the color match for the Mets. Blue color match firework. 49 out of 99 for the Mets. Blue, Kalen Culpepper. That's for the Minnesota Twins, 171 out of 199. Drew Burris with a non-MLB spot. Talisman of Colson Montgomery. Our final auto should be coming up right there. It is. All right, we got a Haesung Kim on the fireworks. Jordan Lawler on the Pulsar, and our last auto Pulsar auto is Kyle Manzardo for the Cleveland Guardians. Kyle Manzardo, 31 out of 199. 31 of 199 on the auto. Jordan Lawler Pulsar. That is 4 out of 499. 4 of 499. Excuse me, guys. Box number 2. right, box number 2. First auto, there's your runner-up for the Rookie of the Year, Jacob Wilson on the Pulsar. 61 out of 199. Jacob Wilson. A-Rod on the red. That is at 181 out of 299 going to Seattle. David Shields on the red wave. Leo DeVries on the prismatic. Red, Bryce Cunningham for the Yankees. That's 62 out of 299. Thomas Sagasi for St. Louis. Dingers of James Wood. Paul Skeens on the Pulsar. That is 275 out of 499. Our second auto of this box, Mike Bovee. Mike Bovee for the Milwaukee Brewers. Jace Jung on the prismatic. Green scope. That is Kumar Rocker. 34 of 75 for Texas. There you go, Sellings. Josue De Paula on the Silver Prizm for the Dodgers. Condon on the Fireworks. We got a blue. Hurston Waldrop for Atlanta. Dingers of Leo DeVries. We got our first cherry blossom of the break. And that is going to the Cincinnati Reds, Tony Perez. Tony Perez for Cincinnati. 5 out of 20. 5 out of 20. Tom Seaver for the Mets, 285 out of 499. Connor Norby, Silver Prizm, Talisman of Condon. Red, Carter Holton for Atlanta. Carter Holton, that is 234 out of 299. Brock Wilken on the red wave. That is Cam Smith on the prismatic blue. Prismatic blue. Cam Smith for Houston. That is numbered 34 out of 99. 34 of 99. PJ Morlando for Miami, 269 out of 499. Gary Sheffield for the Yankees on the Silver Prizm. Paul Skeens prismatic. Checkerboard, that is Jack Morris. Jack Morris for the Toronto Blue Jays, 66 of 99. Our last auto of this box, Carson Roccaforte for Kansas City on the Pulsar auto. Carson Roccaforte, that is numbered 1 148 out of 199. 148 out of 199. Walt Schmidt. Blue, Miguel Cabrera. That is 117 out of 199. Vance Honeycutt on the Silver Prism. Dingers of Roman Anthony. He came in 4th in the voting, I think, or 3rd. J.D. Dix on the Pulsar for the Diamondbacks. 371 out of 499. Jordan Lawler's Red Wave. Jack Leiter Talisman. Red, Braylon Doty. 101 out of 299. Jared Thomas for Colorado on the Silver. James Wood Fireworks. Alright, box number 3. Box number 3. Alright, box number 3. Here we go. That is Arjun Namala for Toronto, 155 out of 299. Shinosuke Ogasawara, Silver Prism. Leo DeVries. Jarlin Susanna, our first auto. It is going to be a red auto. Red auto. That is Ben Hess for the Yankees, /99. Ben Hess to the Yankees. That is 53 out of 99. 53 of 99. Jarlin Susanna, 176 out of 499 on the Pulsar. We got James Wood on the Dingers. Green Scope, that's Jack Leiter for Texas, 66 of 75. Miles Naylor, Silver Prism for the A's. Jace Jung on the Prismatic. What's up, Chad? How are you, buddy? Yes, it is. We got a Mojo coming. Mojo behind Josh Gibson going to the non-MLB spot. Josh Gibson, 280 out of 299. Our Mojo is, that's a nice one for the Yankees. Austin Wells. Austin Wells on the Mojo to 19 out of 25. 19 out of a quarter. Charlie Condon on the fireworks. Robin Yount on the Pulsar. That is 23 out of 499. Joe Jackson on the Silver Prism. Leo DeVries on the Dingers. We got a blue. There's Leo DeVries on the blue. Nice. 121 out of 199 for the Padres. Ethan Holiday going to the non-MLB spot. And then we have a red Hagen Smith. Hagen Smith red to 199. That is numbered 135 out of 199 on the red prismatic. Arjun Namala Pulsar. That is 272 out of 499 for Toronto. We got Monty Irvin for the Giants. Silver Prism. Charlie Condon on the Talisman. I think we got another auto here. Maybe, yep, right there. How about Randy Johnson on the purple? That is 72 out of 149. And our Pulsar auto is Darren Erstad. This is back in the day when they were the Anaheim Angels. Going to the Los Angeles Angels, Darren Erstad on the auto, 174 out of 199. I was living in Anaheim at the time of that. They were the Anaheim Angels. I used to go watch these guys play. Darren Erstad, Wally Joyner. That was Jim Abbott era. Guy with one arm, and he was good. One hand, I mean. Paul Skeens on the prismatic. Red, Johnny Bench on the color match. 64 at 299. Ken Griffey Sr. Silver. Ryan Waldschmidt on the fireworks. You remember those days? Yeah. Jace Jung, that's Detroit, 491 out of 499. Johnny Mize, New York Giants on the red wave. Dingers of Roman Anthony. Carson Benj on the checkerboard. Carson Benj for the Mets, 81 of 99. Bryce Eldridge, silver for the Giants. Jack Leiter on the Talisman for the Texas Rangers. We have our last auto coming. I believe we have one more in this box. Yep, there it is. All right, we're going to start with Kyle Teal Blue. Kyle Teal Blue. That is 132 out of 199 for the White Sox. We have Bubba Chandler on the red wave. We have James Wood on a firework. And our last auto of box 3. It's a Pulsar, it's a Prizm auto of James Tibbs III for the Giants. James Tibbs III for the Giants. Silver Prizm auto. Alright, that's your first 3 boxes, my friends. First 3 boxes. How would we do this one? Box number 4. Box number 4. Yes, you do. You see an update in there? Yes, you do, my friend. You are correct at what you see. Thursday is going to be fun, and then I'm going to be off on Sunday, so I will not be here breaking on Sunday, but I will be back next Tuesday. So Thursday, and then I'm gone for 5 days. So, all right, here we go. Box number 4. That is Braylon Payne, Milwaukee. That is 436 out of 499. Koshi Shang on the Silver Prizm for the Dodgers. Bryce Rainier on the Talisman. Pee Wee Reese for the Dodgers, red. Pee Wee Reese. We got our next auto coming behind it. 232 out of 299. And our Pulsar auto behind Pee Wee Reese. That is Chase Davis. Chase Davis for the St. Louis Cardinals. 64 out of 199. 64 of 199. Prismatic, Braden Montgomery. Max Muncy on the Pulsar. 408 out of 499 for the A's. Kendall George for the Dodgers. Rhett Lauder, Cincinnati. Purple, Luke Keyshaw, Minnesota Twinkies, 140 out of 149. Braxton Ashcraft on the red wave for Pittsburgh. Hideki Matsui on the dingers for the Yankees. That is Franklin Arias, Red Sox, 248 out of 299. Jesus Made on the Silver Prizm. Talisman of Bryce Eldridge. That is Michael Young on the Pulsar. Michael Young, 356 out of 499. Blake Burke for Milwaukee on the red wave. That is James Wood on the red firework. That is to 199. Red firework to 199. That is 93 out of 199 for the Washington Nationals. Green scope. There's Bud Selig. Bud Selig going to the non-MLB NIL spot. That is number 29 out of 75. 29 out of 75. Ty Cobb Silver Prism. We got a prismatic of Kumar Rocker. Blue, that is Jeff Bagwell. Jeff Bagwell for Houston on the blue. 125 out of 199 in our next auto. That is Colin Hawk for the Mets. Colin Hawk, not numbered, for the Mets. There's your AL MVP, Nick Kurtz on the fireworks. Pulsar, Ethan Holiday, again going to the non-MLB NIL spot. That is 289 out of 499. Matt Wieters on the silver. Dingers of Miguel Cabrera. Red, Al Kaline for Detroit. Al Kaline, 132 out of 299. That is Brooks Lee on the orange wave for the Minnesota Twins. Brooks Lee, that is 42 out of 49. Talisman, Luis Angel Acuna. There is Jake Arrieta, 359 out of 499. Colt Emerson on the silver prism. Chase Dolander on the fireworks. Got another auto right there. We're going to start with Sebastian Walcott for Texas. Sebastian Walcott, that is 4 out of 99. 4 of 99. Sebastian Walcott on the checkerboard. Triz Speaker for the Red Sox on the red wave. How about Big Poppy on the dingers for the Red Sox? And our last auto of box 4. That is for the Mets. That is Jet Williams. Back-to-back Mets autos. Carson Bench first, now Jet Williams. Neither one of them are numbered. Nice sensational signature, though. Good young prospect for the Mets. Box number 5. Box number 5. This does not look like a case hit box either, so either there is a Mojo auto, it looks like. So it's possible that last box has our case hits, or we got a case without them, which does happen. It's never guaranteed. But hopefully that last case is the right case. That last box is the right box. Nope, it's right here. It's right there. There is the Color Blast right there. Color Blast is in this pack right here. Yep, there it is right there, and a redemption. Alright, nope, there's our snakeskin. There's our snakeskin. Alright, good luck everybody. Last box 5. There's Slade Caldwell on the Pulsar auto for the Diamondbacks. Excuse me, Diamondbacks. That is numbered 85 out of 199. Slade Caldwell for the Diamondbacks. There's Griffo Farrell. Griffo Farrell, 294 out of 499. Yadi Molina on the Red Wave. Chase Burns on the Fireworks. 99, and our Mojo auto to 25. How about Legend of the Giants? Will the Thrill Clark for the San Francisco Giants. 10 out of 25. 10 out of 25. One of my favorite players of all times. Mojo, Agustin Ramirez. Pulsar. 133 out of 499. Cam Smith on the silver. Dingers of Dylan Cruz. Drew Burris. Drew Burris going to the non-MLB NIL spot. That is a green scope. 31 out of 75. Talisman, that's Leo DeVries. Red, Jacob Mizorowski, Milwaukee, 17 of 299. Luke Dickerson for Washington. Seaver King for Washington on the Prismatic. Here we go. Where's that checkerboard? Right there. Here we go. Box number 5, second half of box 5. We got Terry Francona, 483 out of 499. Chase Burns on the Silver Prism. Prismatica Christian Campbell. Ryan Clifford for the Mets. That is 135 out of 149. Ryan Zimmerman for Washington on the Silver Prism. Cam Caminetti, Fireworks. We need a good snakeskin. Come on, let's get a good snakeskin today. No kickers. I know, wrong sport. I'm just messing with y'all. All right, Jacob Wilson on the Talisman. Red, that's Chase DeLauder. Chase DeLauder for Cleveland. That is 101 out of 299. And our checkerboard. I don't see a rookie symbol. How about Ricky Henderson on the snakeskin for the Oakland A's? Ricky Henderson for the A's on the snakeskin. That's a nice one for the A's. They would have rather had Nick Kurtz since he's our Rookie of the Year, but hey, who doesn't like run, Ricky, run? Run, Ricky, run. And now our Color Blast. We also have a redemption. Redemption and a Color Blast. That is Edwin Encarnacion. 129 out of 149. Ricky Tiedemann on the Silver Prism. Jesus Made on the Prismatic. Red. There is the last National League catcher to win Rookie of the Year before this year. That is Buster Posey. Tibbs on the Fireworks. Buster Posey, that is 18 out of 299. Congrats again to Drake Baldwin and Nick Kurtz on your Rookies of the Year. Our sensational signature Prism Red. Red to 99. Card number 37. That is Jake Bloss. Jake Bloss, I believe that's the Toronto Blue Jays. Jake Bloss, I believe, is Toronto Blue Jays. Is that correct, Draken? 2025 Prism Baseball Checklist. There's the checklist. Let's double check it. That is sensational signatures. They're down here. Card number 37. Jake Bloss, Toronto Blue Jays. Damn, I'm getting good at my job, you guys. I am getting good at my job. It's only taken 2.5 years. And now our Color Blast. Our Color Blast. Good luck to everybody. We got Carson Benj. Carson Benj for the Mets. Pulsar, $3.99 out of $4.99. I'm gonna grab something because maybe that'll bring in some good luck for the Color Blast. If I grab it, will they come? Alright, it goes this way. Prism. Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. on the Color Blast for the Kansas City Royals. Draken, you want to go ahead and comp that for me? See if that's over 100. I appreciate you, bud. That was the end of box number 5. I'm sure, I think it is. I think it's somewhere like 110, 115. But I just want to make sure. Box number 6. Box number 6. All right, box number 6. Here we go, guys. Good luck. Last box. We got 3 autos in these last boxes. Let's go. Emilian Petrie. Our first auto goes to the Texas Rangers. That is Malcolm Moore. Last 2 sales, $347 and $290. Yeah, I think that's a little over $100. Jesus Made on the Talisman. Congrats to the Kansas City Royals spot. Congrats to Kansas City. That's sick. Johnny Mize. That is for the Giants. 162 out of 299. Our next auto, Sean Sullivan for Colorado. Sean Sullivan for Colorado. That is 162 out of 299. Talisman, Dylan Cruz. Green Scope. Big Hurt, Frank Thomas going to the Oakland A's. Oakland A's, 51 of 75. Adrian Gonzalez, silver. Vlad Guerrero, senior on the Dingers. Get a full recap after this box. That is Tris Speaker for the Red Sox. Tris Speaker, 14 out of 149. Slade Caldwell on the silver. Dingers of Cam Smith. Last auto right there, red. Red auto, last one of the break. That is a nice one for the Cincinnati Reds. Chase Burns. Chase Burns for the Cincinnati Reds. On the red auto, color match, 62 out of 99. 62 of 99. Ricky Tiedemann on the Pulsar, 68 of 499. Al Kaline on the red wave. Tommy White on the fireworks. Pulsar, Bryce Matthews for Houston. That is 133 of 499. Braylon Payne, red wave. That is Jack Leiter for Texas on the Talisman red. Red Talisman. Nice hit. 156 out of 199 for the Texas Rangers. Blue, Enrique Bradfield Jr. for Baltimore. 45 of 199. Ryan Waldschmidt for the Diamondbacks. Aiden Miller Prismatic for the Phillies. Blue, that is Hyung-Suk Shang for the Dodgers. Hyung-Suk Shang for the Dodgers, 77 of 199. Trey Savage, he pitched so well in the World Series and the playoffs for Toronto. This kid's going to be good. Kellen Lindsay on the firework for the Dodgers. Four packs to go. Then we'll do a full recap. Checkerboard. Luis Baez, that's for Houston. 95 of 99. Cole Young on the Red Wave. Jace Lavalette, non-MLB, going to the Dingers. Jace Lavalette goes to, what, Texas A&M, I think? I don't know. He never, or Georgia, I don't remember what college he goes to. There is Barry Larkin. That is 483 out of 499. That is for Cincinnati. Kumar Rocker Silver for the Rangers. Christian Moore for the Angels. Two packs. We get our first gold of the break behind Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. has our gold. We're going to save the gold for last. James Triantos, since we didn't save auto for last. Last pack. Last pack. Red, that's Tony Perez color match. It's 260 out of 299. Ryan Zimmerman Silver Prism. Talisman of Marcelo Mayer. Alright, we got Ken Griffey Jr. on the Pulsar. 423 out of 499. And our gold to finish the break. Our gold card to finish the break goes to, it's a rookie. That is Chandler Simpson. Chandler Simpson, gold of the Tampa Bay Rays. That is 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. There we go, guys. There's your break. Let's go ahead and get a recap in and let you guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Here we go. To $4.99. Here we go. Remember, we won't say names until we get to 99. Here we go. Just going to run through these. To $2.99 red. $2.99 red. blue to 199. That's a talisman of Jack Leiter. James Wood Fireworks. Prismatic Hagen Smith. To 149. To 99. We got Luis Baez, Sebastian Walcott, Carson Benj, Jack Morris, Cam Smith, Carson Benj on the Fireworks. That was Cam Smith on the Prismatic, and Adam Jones. To 75, we got Frank Thomas, Drew Burris, Bud Selig, Jack Leiter, and Kumar Rocker. To 49, we got Brooks Lee and Vance Honeycutt. To 25, that's Austin Wells. To 20, Tony Perez. And to 10, Chandler Simpson, 6 out of 10 for the Tampa Bay Rays. Our autos. We got Sean Sullivan, Colorado. Texas, Malcolm Moore. The Mets, we got Jet Williams and Colin Hawk. James Tibbs for the Giants. Mike Pavey for Milwaukee. And Robbie Snelling for Miami. To 199, we have Slade Caldwell for the Diamondbacks. Cardinals, Chase Davis. For the Anaheim LA Angels, Darren Erstad. Kansas City gets Carson Rocaforte. Cleveland, Kyle Manzardo. And for the Washington Nationals, Dylan Cruz. And also for the Oakland A's, Jacob Wilson. 299, red, Chase Burns for Cincinnati. The Yankees, Ben Hess. And Toronto redemption of Jake Bloss. To 25, we have Will the Thrill Clark on the Mojo. Our snakeskin was Ricky Henderson of the Oakland A's. And our hit of the break, last two comps of $347 and $290. That is Kansas City Royals Phenom Bobby Witt Jr. There you go, my friends. Hope you guys enjoyed the break. Hope to see you guys again next time. Have a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.